Hello. Gonna do it. I'm just gonna jump in and dive in, which became jive into Trouble with Peace. I have my breakfast warming up, which I'm gonna get here in a second. Microwave is about to beep at me. I have leftovers for breakfast, which is always so good. Today I have tart, which has fake sausage on it, caramelized onions, blueberry goat cheese, applesauce as a base, and some Gruyere cheese. It's delicious. I love it. And I'm super excited to start the second book of Age of Madness. So I'm gonna do kind of what I did with the first one, and I'll pause along the way, see how it goes, and go from there. But all in all, excited, yay. Okay, so I'm in the midst of reorganizing my shelves. Savine's pregnant. Okay, so I'm assuming because she said a month before Leo Danbrock came to town that, oh, the dad is, the dad is Orso. So I'm assuming that's what it is. Assume then that she's gonna tell Leo that she's pregnant. He's the father. And it's gonna be like RD 2.0, basically. That's my assumption so far. Okay, so it seems that I was mistaken in that it is not... Hi, baby, you can't be in this. No, I don't want you in this. In that it was Orso's kid, it is Leo's kid. So that is slightly better, just marginally. Okay, the conversation between Finri, Artie, and Savine, top tier. Such a funny conversation. I love that we're getting classic Artie. Are you okay? Yeah, you're fine. My kid coughs every time she drinks water. I loved it. I thought it was so funny. And then the dynamic between Savine and Leo, excellent, super enjoyable. I'm really loving that whole plot line. I think it's great. I am super interested in Orso, of course, once again. Vic, I'm still a little less interested in. I feel like her plotline is going to become more relevant as the story goes on. Baez has been really present, which obviously I'm intrigued by. And there's thankfully not been a ton of Broad, so that's been okay. Also, Clover had a POV, which, like, he pretty much had that POV at the end of the last book, so I'm wondering if we just get, like, random snippets from him throughout the series, or if he's supposed to be, like, a main POV at this point. But all in all, I'd say so far I'm liking this book better than A Little Hatred. Even though I still really enjoyed A Little Hatred, I just think this one is probably more my speed. Okay, so I'm 50%-ish through the book, and I'm loving it. I'm liking it more than A Little Hatred. That's my kid, if you can hear her. She's having a good time. I was really moved with Dogman's death. I didn't think I would be as much, even though it seemed like it was coming. It wasn't really a surprise. Still, though, was sad, so that was kind of a bummer. On top of that, the poor pining of our sweet King Orso. I wish someone would just tell him what was going on so he could kind of get over it. Savine and Leo's storyline is interesting but frustrating. Leo is such a pain in the ass. Like, I don't understand if people like him, because so far I don't like him. I mean, he's really frustrating. And a moron. And I know he's meant to be written that way, but he's just infuriating. Rika's storyline in this book has been so good. I love the amount of shivers that we're getting, because I love shivers. All in all, just a really solid book. I'm at the point now where this explosion has happened, and you get it from all the different POVs from all these people in the audience, Therese, Orso. And I don't love how Abercrombie does this. Like, I get why he's doing it, but it's just not my favorite technique of writing. But all in all, I'm curious to see where the story is going to go. Yeah, I'm just have a really bad feeling about a lot of the characters that I like. So I'm hoping that I'm wrong, but we'll see. So fingers crossed. So I am now, oh, where are you? It's like a weird moth of some kind. I I just read the brothel scene in Styria, and it was such a good scene. This is one of those times that I feel like it does work really well when we're jumping POVs, but it's only two POVs between Leo and Orso. I love Jabba, I believe is his name, Monza's son. He is a gem and a treasure. I hope we get a whole book on him because he's so funny. The dynamic between him and Orso, perfection. And it seems like my initial theory about Leo from the first book is correct. Definitely suppressing sexual want, desire, all of that fun stuff. I think he's probably a bisexual character, so that's kind of interesting, but him finding his friends, getting it on, and back in the inn is going to have some serious ramifications, I feel like. All in all, still really enjoying myself, having a good time with the story. I feel like I'm still not loving this series as much as First Law. I feel like what makes this a really strong series is the connection to the previous books. Like, I feel Orso and Savine's POVs consistently excellent. Those are the two standouts throughout the entire book. Rika, I'd say, is probably like middle for me, and then I don't really care about anybody else. Like, I'm not interested in Vic's storyline. I'm definitely not interested in Broad's storyline. I feel like they're kind of just there to serve as viewpoints. Clover is the same. We just don't have an emotional connection to those characters, and I feel like one of the things that differentiates First Law from Age of Madness is that when I speak to people about First Law, people will be like, oh, Logan's my favorite character. For me, Glocta, hands down, my favorite character. My husband's favorite character is Giselle. Well, I've talked to other people that it's Colin West. Like, there's just a wider array of favoritism, I feel like, in those first three books. And I feel it's because typically those are more well-rounded characters and we are more connected to them rather than just being points in the world to tell us what's going on, because that's kind of what Vic and Broad feel like, and Clover especially. So I don't know, I'm still having a really good time with it. I just don't think it is as great maybe as everyone was making it out to be for me, because I feel like First Law is so good. It's so good. And as much as I had a tumultuous relationship with some of the standalones, like, I really enjoyed them still. Red Country being the one that I enjoyed the least, mostly because of the setting, but I didn't love Shy a whole lot. But I loved Casca in that book. He really made that book for me. But I just feel like in terms of character work, my favorite moments of the Age of Madness are often scenes with Glocta. Surprise, surprise. And or with Gorst from the Heroes. So I feel like without that greater context, like, some of the things just wouldn't be as funny. It wouldn't be as good. There was one scene in particular where they're trying that member of the council. Someone makes a point of saying that, like, questioning Glocta if he had tortured him, and Glocta says he wouldn't look as good if I had tortured him. And I mean, stuff like that really isn't as funny without the context. I mean, it's funny, but it's funnier if you've read First Law. So I feel like that's kind of where I'm at right now. This series, I'm still really enjoying it. Highly recommend that people would read it, but it's not a standout compared to the first three books. I still think the first three are the showstoppers of the entire world. It's a new day. Got a bit going on today. I'm going to be heading to PT and then the gym pretty soon. I was solo parenting this weekend, so I was exhausted and I wasn't able to finish my book. Hey, are you okay? What's up? No, not right now. I put Moana on for you so I could do this. Anyway, so if you hear my daughter, sorry. So Josh was away for the weekend. He came back with this for me, which I haven't read anything by Natalie Haynes before, or Stone Blind. I do love Medusa. I have a Medusa necklace. She's one of my favorite Greek mythological characters. I'm kind of iffy on the retellings, but I do really like the cover. So there is that, even if I don't love the book. And it does have Neil Gaiman written on the back, whom I love very, very much, if you know that. So that's all very exciting. So where am I in the trouble with peace? Oh, okay. Glocta resigned. And I have mixed feelings about this because obviously he had to based on what was happening. But I'm sad that it kind of feels like I'm not going to get more Glocta interactions because of that going forward. I have a very strong feeling that the rebellion, if we can call it that, I guess we can, it's quite large, the army that's marching against Orso is not going to be successful. Like, that's my general opinion and feeling. So I'm wondering if Leo and Savine are captured, if maybe Glocta will kind of come back into the story that way and try to negotiate on their behalf. I also feel like Orso wouldn't really do anything too terrible against Savine to begin with, because he does still seem like he's in love with her, which is so fun and complicated. So that's kind of what I'm feeling about that. I feel like Rika, I really enjoy her storyline. I'm loving how much Shivers is involved in her plotline. I just feel like he's such a great addition to the story always. So I feel like that's been really, really enjoyable. Do not love how Savine promised Stour, Stour, I believe is how you say his name, her town or village or whatever. Like, not cool, Savine, not cool. I get why she's doing what she's doing, but I'm not for it. I will say though, I love Stour as a character. I think he is so interesting, and I almost wish that we would have had a book about him. So maybe that'll be something that we get in the future. I was thinking about it yesterday in terms of whether or not I would want, I want more stories in the First Law universe, but if I would want stories that kind of encompass that 28-year gap as to what's happening to these characters, because I feel like it's generally been a period of peace. Like, that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Obviously, the North still has its skirmishes and its issues, but my daughter is singing to Moana. But Adjua has been under pretty steady rule with Jezal. It seems like it's been pretty peaceful. So I don't know if there would be like a crazy amount to tell there, unless we're kind of introducing new characters in different parts of the world, which could still be very interesting. But I just feel like I want the POVs from the first 3 books, and I feel like I am going to be in the minority on this, in that most people I've spoken to prefer Age of Madness, and obviously I'm not finished with Age of Madness. I've got about 25% left of this book, and then I'm going to jump into book 3. But all in all, like, I'm still hardcore First Law stan in terms of direct comparison between the trilogies. I just feel like I don't care what's happening with Broad, and now that he's back with Judge especially, like, I just don't care. I don't like his character. I don't feel like he's adding all that much to the story. We had Vic have her goodbye scene, I guess, with Glocta, which was okay. I liked how she is somewhat defiant but isn't defiant, and she is having that internal conflict as to what she does, and Glocta basically implies that she needs to forgive herself. I did like that. But Clover is fine. Leo drives me up a wall, but I will say I cackled at this one line. A good friend who Leo was absolutely sure liked women. I thought that was so funny, and I laughed so hard, just because I've been talking about this since the last book. Leo is clearly someone who is repressing his sexual urges, sexual desires, and the fact that he only really gets turned on by Savine when she's kicking the shit out of him is a whole other thing. But I also couldn't really tell, like, I feel Jurin loves Leo but is hooking up with the other friend. I don't really know. Like, that was the vibe I was getting. So it's curious to see, like, what's going on beyond the scenes there. I'm curious to see if Leo is going to kind of discover this about himself come the 3rd book, because I anticipate most people will live through this book. I could see maybe a few people not. I could honestly see Rika not living through this book. Stour, Broad, I would be fine with. But I feel like the main players are gonna live through to the end of book 3. So like Leo, Orso, Savine, I think will be around in book 3. Orso's still my favorite character. I think he's so funny. I love him so much. I think he's S tier for me in terms of First Law world universe characters. So he's up there now with Galacta, Forever Down Course, and Orso. But also King Joppa, like I love him just from that one set of scenes we got. So I'm really hoping we get more of him because he was so excellent. But all in all, I'm having a really good time with the book. I am thinking I might finish today. It's going to depend on how much free time I get. So we'll see, but I think as soon as I finish this one, I'm probably going to jump into book 3 and then lament the fact that I only have one book left in the First Law universe, which is breaking my heart. I also then might just go back and reread First Law because it's so good and it owns my heart. So we'll see, but I'll keep you posted. Got my new plant, which I'm very happy about. So now I've got all 3 on my porch where I can look out on my little hill here. Okay, I'm about to head into the gym, but I had to pause this because I love the fact that Rika didn't go to support Leo. I love that so much. That for me, perfection. Just really great. I love that whole chapter. Hey. Showing you guys what I made for dinner because vlog life. I did a cod here. I have an asparagus dish, which is fun to say 5 times fast, mashed potatoes. This is super easy. I have this link on my website if you're interested. This one I've just recently started making. It is ricotta, asparagus. You can be in this video, it's fine. You can say hi.
Hi, Internet.
Asparagus, it is a mustard vinaigrette, Dijon specifically, with roasted hazelnuts, and then these are quick and easy, delicious potatoes. So all in all, yummy dinner. Friends, okay, so I finished the book, and I have a lot of thoughts and opinions. Mostly positive, but also some negative. So I want to get through the negative ones first so I can kind of then hone in on what I did really enjoy about the book. The negatives for me, I'm really not invested in a lot of the POVs in this story, which is unfortunate because I feel like for the First Law trilogy, I generally really liked most of them. I struggled with Colum West quite a bit, but then came around to him later in the series. Specifically in book 2, I came around to him, but I connected with each of the POVs. In this book, I just do not care about Brock in the slightest. I don't care about his storyline. Vic's story, I wasn't surprised in the end about Pike. Okay, so I feel like that wasn't like this massive reveal. I feel like it made sense. So I mean, that's good and bad in the feeling that you haven't been completely misled about a character and you can kind of see the cracks that are there, but I just didn't feel like it was maybe the reveal that he was going for. My main issue though is timeline in the book, in that I feel things are very rushed and they happen very quickly. And the battle scenes are fine in the sense that they're chaotic. Like, it is a battle, it should be chaos. You should be wondering what different people are looking at, what's going on. It's just supposed to be mayhem, that's fine. But I felt like throughout the course of the book, things just happened quickly and we really didn't have any concept of how much time had passed and how long it took to get to places. Like, how long does it take to go to Styria and have those conversations with Joppa? How long does it take to go to England? How long does it take to go back to Adua? It didn't really add up for me as to how quickly these events were taking place. And the end of the book, not having a POV from Orso's perspective and just showing him at the execution of Leo really bothered me because it was such a big reveal to him, this conversation with Savine, and we got no context on how he was feeling about it other than obviously he was sad enough to spare Leo, which is a massive mistake because that is going to only amplify support, I feel like, for Leo, especially when you have the burners and breakers that are going to be rising up again in book 3. It seems like that they're probably going to rally behind Leo. The other thing that I'm kind of struggling with is that I feel like a lot of First Law is cyclical, but it's cyclical in the sense of human nature, in that we can do things throughout the course of our life, but our nature is our nature, and we generally don't change a whole lot. We saw that very much with Giselle, in that book one, he's kind of our douchey character, right? He's that kid that you just want to punch in the face. And then book two, he appreciates who he's surrounded by, and he really wants to emulate Logan a lot of the time, and he's learning from Baez, even though he finds it quite tedious. And at the end of book two, he devotes himself to wanting to do better. And then that really fades away at the end of book three. Logan, I feel like, has a lot of that storyline too. Glokta really doesn't have much of that, but we do see that he kind of waxes and wanes with being a good person, just being the type of person that he is. And that was fine, because I feel like that is categorically reflective of life. But I feel like we are having too much repetitiveness and recycling of characters in this book. And obviously, like, some of these characters have been raised by the characters from First Law, so their mannerisms and behaviors are going to be similar. But when you look at the fact that Giselle was a bastard and then got already pregnant with a bastard, and then Savine became pregnant with a bastard, even though she ended up getting married to Leo, it just felt like it was too much of the same. With Leo's condition now, it kind of feels like Savine is latched on to another Glokta type figure, as her mother was. To me, it's too much. Like, I get that plot wise he needed to keep Leo alive, but I almost feel like it would have been more interesting if, even it was like, obviously not a romantic relationship, I feel like it would have been more interesting if Orso and Savine would have gotten married in the end. Like, if you made her divorce Leo or something along those lines. I just feel like that would have been way more interesting than leaving it kind of the sporadic mess that it is, even though I understand that Orso really isn't that type of forceful character. He obviously is well-meaning, well-intentioned. He doesn't want to get into brawls with people and doesn't necessarily want to kill people. Like, he hates hangings, which is something that is repeated quite readily about the book and throughout the book. And that was the other thing with Broad's character. Every single chapter reiterates the fact that he doesn't want to fight. He made the promise to his wife and daughter, but he wants to fight. So, I mean, I just didn't care. But to move on to the things that I really did like about the book, because there were several things that I liked about it in great detail. I thought the humor in this book was excellent. I've mentioned that throughout my previous little clips and snippets that I've done. Specifically, the Glokta flashbacks for me, or not flashbacks, but the scenes with Glokta were so funny. So I greatly enjoyed those. I liked the brief moments that we got of Baez, who I definitely think is going to have more of a presence in the third book. I'm curious what he's been doing in the West and what's been going on there. I liked some of the new characters that we met in this book, like Joppa. I thought his scene was a standout scene in the book for me. I really loved how Rika is kind of coming into her own. While Dogman's death was very sad and kind of a bummer in the greater scheme of the whole narrative, I see that it is important to advance Rika's story and to kind of just make it more believable. But I really liked how she was coming into her own, and she's not a character that is needing to be beautiful or loved or respected. She's one that is just fierce, and I really do enjoy that. So when people were talking about how female characters were better in Age of Madness, I feel like that is exemplified in Rika, really not in Savine. I feel like Savine is kind of just Artie and Glokta plus. Like, she's not really her own character, whereas with Rika, I can see aspects of Dogman, but it feels like she's got her own personality interwoven with that, whereas Savine really just has that manipulative nature of Artie and addictiveness of Artie. Meanwhile, the scheming and unyielding nature of Glokta to get whatever she wants, to do whatever she has to do to get the end result that she wants. So I really did love Rika. I think that she is probably the best female character in the First Law universe that's been written. I love Aziraphale that's with her. I always think it's very similar to Aziraphale from Good Omens, so that's kind of a fun little connection that I really, really enjoy, because she's kind of like the angel on Rika's shoulder. So I'm wondering if that was subtly something that Abercrombie did in this book. I really, really loved that we we got some time with our older characters. I really loved the dynamic between Artie and Finrey Denbrock. I thought that their relationship was hilarious. I also love how every time Finrey is mentioned, if Gorse is in the room, he's always telling Leo to say hi to his mother, and that he's still obsessed with Finrey, to me is like 10 out of 10 hilarious. I absolutely love that, because for me the best inner monologues and characters have been Glokta, Gorse, and now Orso. They're my top 3 for sure. I feel like there's just a lot that's unanswered, and obviously it's a book too, so you're not going to answer everything, but I feel like overall I am not, if I was doing a direct comparison of A Little Hatred to the Blade itself, book 1 versus book 1 versus book 2 versus book 2, Before They Are Hanged versus The Trouble with Peace, I still think that Before They Are Hanged is the better book. I feel like as a whole, First Law is still better. I feel like there are definite issues within The Age of Madness, not to say that it is not still a very enjoyable and very good book and read. I had a great time reading it, but I did feel like it kind of dipped in the last third. I feel like really when Glokta leaves and goes to the country or wherever it is that he's actually gone, I feel like the book starts to suffer a little bit at that time. And one of the things that I found that I liked between the POV characters is that if we're getting the same scene that 2 characters are in, it's jumping between their perspectives and their POVs, but I didn't feel like I necessarily needed that for characters that we didn't know, and like in the battle sequence, characters that just straight up died in the middle of that. Like that to me didn't really feel advantageous for me. It kind of just felt like wasted paper. But I know that other people will be like, well, you know, it gave us a greater context as to like how bad the battle was, what's going on, and all that fun stuff. But I'd say in terms of standout plot lines for me in this book, the wedding for Sivian and Leo was very funny, and the coming about and organization of that I really enjoyed. I really loved Rika standing up on her own and deciding that she wasn't going to come to Leo's aid and that she was going to screw over Stour. I thought that that was great. The screwing over of Stour officially in the end of the book was very, very funny, and the scene with Joppa and Leo and Orso, for me, those were probably my key moments of the whole book. I enjoyed it. I think I'm probably at a 4 to 4.5. I feel like I probably liked it as much as A Little Hatred. I might like it a little less. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to think about that and reflect upon it for the next few days, but all in all, still had a great time reading it. I'm already gonna jump into the 3rd book, The Wisdom of Crowds, tonight, so that'll be exciting. I feel sad at the same time that I only have 1 book left in the First Law universe. It's making me want to go back and reread the first 3 books and also reread the heroes, like pretty much off the bat. So we'll see if I end up doing that. But let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts were with The Trouble with Peace. If you feel like you agree with any of the points that I've made, if you disagree, I want to hear all of them. Let me know if it is your favorite book in the trilogy. I know a lot of people think that this is their favorite. My friend Joanna has said that the 3rd book is her favorite, so I'm curious to see how I kind of feel at the end as to which book is my favorite. In terms of the first trilogy, The Blade itself was my favorite book. It kind of actually, I think it actually went in order of 1, 2, 3 being my favorite, so I'm not really sure yet where I fall on this one. I really am gonna have to think about it. But if you want to come follow me on Instagram, Goodreads, all that information is in the box down below. Thanks again for spending your time with me. I hope you like this vlogging content format. I'm still sort of getting used to it. It definitely is easier because I can just carry my phone with me as opposed to having to set up my camera stand and all that fun stuff inside. Thanks for putting up with my child's noises that you probably heard in the back of a lot of my clips. But all in all, happy to be on to book 3, excited, and yeah, I will keep you guys posted on what I think of The Wisdom of Crowds. Thanks. I'll see you next time. Bye.